Red here, and today I'm going to review Batman Ninja. So Batman Ninja was released in April 2018. However, me and my boyfriend only watched it a few weeks ago. The film is 85 minutes long, so it's not too long a movie, and it is set in Feudal Japan, so quite a few thousand years ago, and it's set in a really clear vision of Japan of that time. Things are accurately drawn, set, shown. There's nothing out of place, bar what is made by our main characters and brought across. So, as an overview, the film is based around Batman, and basically they are multiple superheroes and villains are transported to feudal Japan via time travel, and in order to get back home, Batman and the multiple Robins and ex-Robins, Catwoman, all that need to work together to try getting this capacitor to get back home. The enemies are obviously the villains. I think the main five. There was Two-Face, Joker, and Harley Quinn, obviously. Poison Ivy and Penguin were the main that were sort of had made a position of power in this time period of Japan, where there was a lot of the Sengoku ideals and hierarchy. Sengoku is basically lord of that. What would have been called? Clan, area, whatever. And they basically built up this power because they had arrived about 2 years before Batman ends up arriving. The storyline from there progresses well, but they definitely tried to fit in a lot of ideas in a short space of time, and although it flowed well, it did get a bit over imaginative, let's say. So as for first off the characters, and I will go into the dress they decided to implement them wearing, the personalities, and so on. I won't go into every character because that will take a long time. I'll just do a broad overview and say on a few characters where I think they did really well, they were really creative, or they sort of made it a bit too different. So let's start off with the main character, Batman. He arrives. He's obviously confused what's happened, but he sort of knows a bit because he was fighting the person that brought him there before it all happened. He is in the Bat costume. He meets Catwoman, who is dressed beautifully, although a bit too much chest showing. but she's adorable. The introduction is really adorable. She's got a little, she's dressed as this nice, I guess, higher status Japanese woman, and she's got the broad hat with the veils down. But the cute thing is she's got a little hand puppet of a cat, and that was really adorable, to be honest. But that's the first person Batman meets. The personalities of those two are pretty much similar to their Western counterparts. Nothing really has changed too much. And they meet a bit later on, the Robins, who are, well, they meet Joker. I will do that in a minute because there's a bit more of them. But they eventually meet the Robins and the ex-Robins. So there's Robin, who I think is not Tim. I can't remember exactly which one was which, but there was Robin, I think Red Robin, Nightwing, Red Hood, and I think that was it. Excuse me if I forget one. One of the youngest one, I think, is Red Robin, or whatever the official name is. He makes a monkey friend, which I think is really cute too. But they all have pretty much the personalities you relate to their Western counterparts. There's not too much difference in them. Red Hood is a bit like, not angsty, a bit against going the light route, and is really still after Joker, really violently after Joker. The one with the monkey is very childlike, very cautious, and very, very close to that monkey. Robin, sort of like the brains, is pretty on top of everything in that sense. And Nightwing is decked out with the classic anime hairdo, and is sort of like a ninja-esque character with, obviously he doesn't have the batons, he has like basically wood or metal poles, and he has, basically the hair is just spiked in like the proper spiked anime style, not Super Saiyan, just spiked back and pointed. And obviously his cheeky, cocky attitude is spot on as well. So I commend them for keeping the Robins on point. So to Joker, I had a few qualms on him. The idea of him having power, being one of the most powerful Sengoku, is definitely on point, very feasible and sort of seeable to happen. But the voice acting wasn't really on par of what you would expect from a Joker character. I get each voice actor takes their own take on voicing someone, and I will admit, a lot of the time when it comes to Joker, we think Mark Hamill and the other one, I can't remember his name for the life of me. I've tried thinking for ages. But we compare any new voice actor that comes out to voice the Joker to them. And it is unfair, but they sort of set the standard, let's say. And unfortunately, in my mind, the person that voiced Joker in Batman Ninja was quite a bit off. It didn't quite hit the ear right, the pitch was a bit too high, and the behaviorisms weren't quite. I think they went. I know this is going to sound weird, but I think they went a bit too on the sort of classic fake insane than the take Mark Hamill on that, where he was mentally scarred. He was basically insane. So I think there's a bit of mix up on the right tone and characterization within the voice. The normal look of the Joker is very good. They got the way they've done the smile, the face shape is right, and the dress, the general dress, suits him. But it's the full decked out dress that just looked weird. It looked really weird. It had this pencil thin moustache, which I know was common, or I guess attractive back then, but on that character it just did not look right. So I think just a few little bits of the dress didn't quite sit right at certain parts of the movie for Joker. Moving on, since we're on I said a few bad points, I will say my and Jamie's biggest annoyance was Bane. They made him a sumo wrestler who he didn't speak hardly at all. He didn't have the sort of classic look. He was completely changed. He didn't, as I say, he didn't speak. He seemed to just grunt, and it took out any characterization for Bane. So I think they sort of, he only appears for a few minutes, but he just leaves that impression of a ruined character. And it's sad because Bane is a big character in DC. He's Batman's enemy. Batman broke his back. Bane broke Batman's back in the film, and that's synonymous with the franchise. It's a move in what's it called? What's the game's called? The games. Oh, never mind. I can't remember the name right now. I'll say in the description what I was trying to reference to, but it's shown in a game, and I just feel they ruined Bane, and They did a really good job on the character designs, the personalities. Mostly, it's just that it was a real letdown. Two-Face looked on point. The personality was good. It had the good split between the two. Making him as a Sengoku was a good idea too, because he does in Gotham have quite a bit of influence already anyway, so it sort of makes sense he'd build an influence in Feudal Japan when they went there. Poison Ivy, spot on with the hating of men, loving plants, still in control of the plants, and her personality of slightly seductive was right on. It was point on the mark. Penguin, the cat with the nose, the ugly look, and yes, and his followers are penguins. They kept that really well. So those are the main characters, and their interactions are good. There's nothing in the interaction stages that feel out of place or awkward or anything like that. And I think each person's backstory of the point of being transported there onwards is really feasible and clear and interesting. The animation, I am in two halves upon. Step back a minute. The character designer was Takashi Okazaki, who was the creator of Afro Samurai, and they did make a note in the it was San Diego Comic-Con. It's an extra on the DVD where they have the people, three of the Japanese side, the director, character design, and one other. I could not find his name, but he did work on something that I recognise. I think it was, no, that's the same one. I can't remember, unfortunately. And then it had the three that took over for the, maybe it was two that took over for the American or English release, basically. So they made clear that they got quite big names to work on this film, and that's really key on how well they showed the differences. They sort of they did change animation style at one point, and it's reminiscent of I think it's of the one that I can't remember the name of, and I am so sorry, I cannot find the name, but I think it's pretty clear that that was done by him, I'm pretty sure, because it's quite a drastic change. And the bit I am on about is a part where Red Hood is introduced. Joker and Harley Quinn, not really spoiler, they forgot stuff. I think, are they called farmers? I don't know. They're basically as something that isn't what they originally are. Red Hood comes, thinks it's all an act, and that's how you get the introduction to Red Hood. but the animation is sort of in a watercolor-esque flow of things. It's very, I don't know, it sort of reminded me of old cartoons where it's all paint and it's like animated that way. So it's really flowy. It's really sort of, I don't even know how to describe it 100%, but it's slightly disorientating, it felt, to be honest. And that was upsetting because, one, I love the character of Red Hood, and also it sort of distracted from what it was trying to get at happened, because that we were confused for quite a bit on, okay, why is it like that? Why is Joker and Harley Quinn in that setting and Red Hood's just come out of nowhere? But once we figured it out, it was a good in between. It was a good plot twist, I suppose you could call it. But I did not like that art. It could just be because I'm a part of the Western audience, and possibly in Japan, that sort of art style is still, well, is popular, or maybe not popular, but is just okay for them and they like it. It could just be because I'm a foreign audience, I don't quite get that style. But that's that. Otherwise, the main animation style used and the main drawing style used is very reminiscent of the person who worked on the story as well. Kazuki Nakashima, who was the Gurren Lagann script writer, and you can sort of tell the drawing style is sort of similar to Gurren Lagann, Kill la Kill, with a bit of a different take. Other than that, the animation of the surroundings were on point. Nothing like weird or not supposed to be there, bar the parts that were supposed to not look like they were there, like the Batmobile, the electronics built within the castles or fortresses. I'm not quite sure. I think it's both, really. But the points where it was supposed to just look like feudal Japan was really good, really spot on, perfect, and really eye-catching. They were pretty beautiful when there was no fights happening. It was just conversation, and you could, I think Batman and the Robins were on a cliff, and you could see over their little camp, and in the back distance you can see the mountains, the fields. It's really, the scenery is really, really nice and pleasing to the eye to see, and they did a really great job. And I think that's really it on the animation and the character side. The soundtrack, I really liked the soundtrack. Nothing was composed and put at the wrong points. Everything was relative to the to the scenes happening. And you could tell the Japanese influence and tunes in certain songs, because obviously every country has their own type of music, tunes, and they definitely showed that in some of the soundtracks in the movie. And one thing the whole film, sort of, as I said, has different ideas, and those ideas were like time travel, samurai/ninja, and mecha. And that was, the leap was so weird to see. You don't imagine mechas in feudal Japan, but they worked. Not too much of bringing in futuristic looking robots or anything like that. Literally just their fortresses turning into mecha, which was, and it had an influence of Power Rangers, I swear it did. So that was really, really nostalgic and amazing, and I never used to be into mecha. I haven't watched a lot, but I've watched some of Neon Genesis Evangelion. I know technically not mecha, their Ava suits and all that. Gundam I watched, and I played the games, and I've watched a few other things, and although I don't find it all that like very gripping of an anime genre, I think they having that add-on of mechas is awesome. So back to the soundtrack. It is a really nice soundtrack, and I think you can get some of it on YouTube, maybe some other platforms. You'll just have to have a look around, but I recommend you giving the movie a watch and also trying to find the soundtrack. It's amazing. So overall, Batman Ninja had its down points, but it was a really good story. It was a very good animation, bar that point in my opinion, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. I liked most of the characters and their personalities and display. The dress was really nice. I love Japan dress, especially of older periods of time, and I really liked that. I liked the style a lot. The setting was beautiful, it was perfect, the fights were intriguing, very well choreographed, very well drawn. The noises of both the voice actors and the soundtrack fitted perfectly for those scenes and all the other scenes. And bar its standpoints of that animation part and the Joker and Bane's character design and personalities, things really came together into a really, I gotta stop saying really, don't I? Into a good, film. It is a good film, and I'll say out of 10, I give it an 8. And the two down are mainly the points I have made and maybe a bit of just certain personal aspects on it. But otherwise, I definitely recommend you watch this movie. Go into it with open mind. because of course it's going to be different from what you are used to with a DC movie. It is different, and you got to understand that it is gonna be portrayed in a more Japanese feel and influence. So go into it open-minded, go into it expecting things to be different in certain places, but just enjoy it. Really just enjoy the movie, enjoy the little tweaks, and honestly put your opinion down below in the comments what you thought of the movie, or after you've watched it what you think. It can be on the soundtrack, it can be on the characters, it can be simply on the setting, if you think the setting was appropriate. And just sound off in the comments what you thought. And if there's anything you would like me to review, I'm happy to do so. If there's any tasting videos, challenges, obviously not insane ones, just like fun challenges to do with friends and that you can suggest, by all means say below, and I'll say if they're feasible and they may be in a video. Yeah, I think that's it. Batman Ninja gets it 8 out of 10 on my personal scale, and I hope you enjoy the movie too. And oh yeah, a bit of a update. I may not be able to upload on the weekend next week, but I will try to find a day to do a video and upload. It may be earlier, it may be on the Monday of after next weekend. I'll just see how things work out in the end. But and I hope you can understand that. I won't go into reasons why. So yeah, thank you for listening, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.